everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're actually gonna talk about how I found out I was pregnant. We're talking about my first child, okay? Wait, very beginning. That week, okay, I was like wearing my pads like I normally do. Nothing was different. And I was cramping and I was like, okay, like waiting for my period to come. Woo! Like sometimes it changed because I was actually training for a marathon at that time. So I knew that like it could fluctuate because I was working out a lot and I was running a lot and I was just doing a lot, right? So I was actually preparing spaghetti. Okay? So I was preparing spaghetti and I ate this spaghetti and it didn't taste right. Like something in it just didn't taste right. I was like, what did I just eat? Because I know I've made this recipe more than once. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Right? Like, what did I just consume? So I used the same tomato sauce. I was using Prego sauce at the time. Extremely appropriate. Okay, extremely appropriate. So yeah, I went to our school library and it came across my mind. I was like, could I be like, let me check my little tracker or whatever. So I checked the tracker and I was like, oh. Okay. So then I went to the library. I just was trying to busy my mind. I was like, no, this can't be the case. Let me just busy myself, okay? Then I just randomly left the library. I was outside talking to one of my friends on FaceTime. I said, listen, I gotta go to the store. And I went to the store, got the test, went home. Okay, went home. And when I went home, I read all the instructions, the entire pamphlet. I opened it up and I was reading like I was studying for a test, because I was like, when I do this, it better be correct. It has to be correct. Okay. I went into the bathroom and I peed in the cup, took it out, followed the instructions, dipped it in there, put the cap on there, set a timer, and I was just dancing around my apartment, played a song, super nervous. And I feel like in my mind, I kind of already knew, right? I already knew what was coming, what was happening. So I took the time to flip it over once it went, like the timer went off. And then I was like, okay, time to go see. And then I did. And when I did, and I flipped it over and I was just like, is this right? Is this right? Like, can y'all see? I was just confused. I was like, wait a minute. I don't know if this is right. Like, I don't know if this is right. I knew it was right. Like, you know how you're just like in denial and you're like, I don't know about that. Well, I knew about that. Okay, I knew about that. I was just like, wow, that's weird. Let me text him to figure out what's going on, where he's at, like what's going on here, okay? So I did. And he was like, yep, I'll be back in town this weekend. So long story short, not to really focus so much on that, told him and just trying to figure out the whole process of what life is going to look like, how it's going to change. No time before then was I thinking about. I didn't think that was just what was going to happen. And you're a senior year in college, like you're trying to be done, like that's it. Like, you know, I was set to graduate and I was like, oh my God, like what am I going to do? And I was in the middle of classes and stuff. So I had 2 classes left. So it's not like it was like super big deal. I had 2 classes left. Let's figure this out. What does this look like? And in my mind, I was like, okay, now I got to figure out like what's going on. And so I took a test again with his dad. And then I was like, okay. And he was like, okay. And it was just a moment of just trying to figure out kind of like navigating like adulthood and how was I gonna like maneuver that whole situation. I don't know if I was excited per se. I think if anything, I was more confused about like, how is that gonna look? So You know the first thing that I did? I made an appointment to go to like this OBGYN, and I was like, okay, set my appointment, got my beginning weight, went there for the ultrasound, and 2 really good friends of mine actually came with me to the ultrasound. So I'm gonna insert a clip of what that was like for me, like the reaction, just like seeing him for the first time. I'm gonna insert that now.
Tell me when you're ready.
We're good.
What? 176. Well, that's perfect.
So there's my baby. I was like, okay, like, you know, we got 1 month and we're out of this first trimester. So I think even for me, like, when it came time to just process it all, at first I looked at him and I was like, this baby looked like a little roach. Like, I didn't know what they looked like. I was like, because, you know, I'm just not here looking at ultrasounds. None of my friends had kids or anything. Like, nobody had kids. So I was just looking at the ultrasound like, So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Carter's. We are gonna go to Carter's. We're gonna go to Carter's. Because I think for then, I got the ultrasound actually done on my mom's birthday. Obviously, my parents had absolutely no idea. And I wasn't gonna tell them anything until after I had completed like my first trimester. So I waited until like just about almost August-ish to kind of tell them. I waited till I was at that like 12-week mark. Every single day I was just on like the miscarriage calculator, because what I would hate to do is to like tell my parents and have them like excited about it and then, you know, then nothing. Yeah, so I went to Carter's and got this cute little outfit, and I made like a cute little thing for my parents, and you know, I was just like, oh my god, like there is this small human that I'm gonna be responsible for in like a few short months. So what does that mean, and what am I gonna do? I think for anybody, like, I think people a lot of the times they think unplanned pregnancy and they automatically think like teenagers, like really young kids. Granted, like I was 22, so I get it, like not like I was in my 30s or something, but still, like giving birth at 16 and then giving birth at 22 are still 2 different things, you know? For me, I was just kind of like, I'm getting started at the beginning of my career. You know, I had a job offer that was lined up for me, and it's like things that I would have wanted to be able to do had to be put on pause, on hold, on wait a minute. It wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't like right then and there, it just wasn't gonna happen. My newest priority was, what am I gonna do to take care of this kid? Like, what job do I need? Where am I gonna live? What, you know, and I didn't want to be away from my parents because I had never had a baby before, and I just didn't want it to be this whole like thing where if I moved somewhere else and something were to happen, then what? Then what was gonna happen to me? Like, I want to make sure that I had like this full support system of my family around to kind of help me navigate through everything. Yeah, it was really nerve-wracking. I was taking foreign language classes, so it made it harder because I was sick and I was tired and I was just like, it was a whole thing. So I think for me, I just had to process and cope with everything and be like, okay, this is the next step. This is what's happening in your life. So I kind of was like, okay, plot twist. And then I just had to keep going with it. I just had to handle it. I had to deal with what that looked like for me. I think that I didn't consider any other options other than being a mom, because that's just how I operate. I just wasn't going to do anything else other than say, okay, parenthood, motherhood, here we come. Like, and that's it. I think for the most part for me, it was just trying to process everything. And when I was in Carter's, it made a big difference because I was like, okay, this is it. This is it. This is it. Like, it's happening. It's happening. Anyway, for people who are wondering kind of just like symptoms, if you will, what symptoms were you having other than that, like tomatoes? And I'll be honest with you, nothing else other than cramping, and I was tired, and I ate the spaghetti and it just really didn't taste right to me. And I was like, I eat healthy, I've been working out, I've been doing what I need to do, like it has to be something completely out of like my norm. So that's how I knew. I was literally just 3 simple things, and I think knowing your body's super important. When I knew that, I was like, okay, like this is it, like this is what's happening. And I think the processing portion of it up here was a little harder. But I think once I got the opportunity to just kind of fully accept what was happening and not necessarily be sad about it, but just trying to figure out like what that looks like for me, was just kind of what I figured out and what I worked through. So yes, if you like this video, if you want to hear something different or kind of get more details on it, then feel free to let me know below. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, of course. But for now, ta-ta!